I'm Faye What, and let's queer up the USA view. Conservatives say LGBTQ plus doesn't bother us. Surprising answers go viral. A new Reddit thread is sparking national conversation after a user asked conservative Americans, quote, "Why does the LGBTQ plus seem to bother you so much?" End quote. The answers are unexpectedly candid. While conservative politics and anti-LGBTQ plus policies often go hand in hand, several respondents insisted that queer people don't personally bother them. One user said, quote, "It doesn't really bother most Republicans either. It's just a convenient demonization to get poor people to forget you're robbing them blind, like immigrants," end quote. Another added, quote, "I think you will find that most conservatives just want people to make their own decisions and live their own lives," end quote. Others push back against the idea that conservatives broadly oppose LGBTQ plus people, writing, quote, "Yeah, I don't care. Most conservatives, aside from the hardcore Christians, also don't care," end quote. Several pointed to extremism, not queerness, as the real source of tension. One commentator said, quote, "In my experience, very, very few Republicans or even conservatives really care. The ones that do are a vocal minority," end quote. Still, a few users echoed familiar talking points about kids and sports, reflecting the influence of recent anti-trans bills and President Trump's executive orders. For many LGBTQ plus viewers, the thread offers a rare look at how everyday conservatives view our community beyond political headlines. Now we don't bother you? Oh, sweetie, the comment section is always braver than the voting booth, okay? But honestly, it's refreshing to see that some conservatives admit the culture war is just a distraction while the rich run off with the purse. If more people talked like this Reddit thread, we'd solve half of our problems by brunch. And I really am excited to see what you are going to say, because you are my conservative gay guru, so to speak. You pass time in these forums that a lot of us are afraid to even look into.
Yeah, I grew up that way. I still have a lot of red MAGA friends, and I try to tell people at this table all the time, they really don't care that you're gay. All right, when you go into these PragerU and other conservative sites, a lot of that is just the fringe and the bots. A lot of them are bots that are like some kind of paid advertisement things that just say bullshit.
Right.
But for the most part, I think that liberals get it wrong, or gay people, LGBTQ folks get it wrong, that conservatives don't like gay people. In general, they don't care. What they care about is not being told what they have to say and how they have to label and how they have to think about people. Right. It's more of like a rebellious attitude, which you see that a little bit more, but it's on both sides. Like they want to say, all right, I consider you a trans person. I don't really care. Just don't tell me that I have to say these words and I have to say this, and like, let me be me and I will let you be you. And as long as we have that mutual respect, people can be friends with each other. You can run in the circles. And then that's when our eyes are open to what the politicians are doing that are just using it for wedge issues to, score points. But conservative people really do not care about people's sexuality by and large. Of course, they're fringes, but I do hope that people in our community realize that and they approach them more, because the more we can build bridges and friendships with people who are not like us, the more currency we have in our political world.
Yeah, it's the extremism that they're really afraid of. It's like when we have to be vocal and when we have to really let our voices be heard because we're concerned about a particular issue, it kind of, I think, to me kind of feels like, well, that's none of my business. I don't really care about it. Don't put it in my face, And I also come from conservative people, a family as well. So, I get that loud and clear too. But there are a lot of times where we have to stand up for ourselves. And sometimes we need advocates to talk about things for us that are not being addressed, especially in the trans community. So I think that, we definitely are in for better times, hopefully.
Oh my God.
Well, talk about it respectfully. Because if you go into a conversation with a conservative about like, no, you need to believe it this way, it's going to do is make that divide larger. So you have to be respectful about it. And I think both sides have a problem with this. Far left, far right, when they start talking about, whatever subject it is, it's like, if you don't agree with me, you're a racist, you're a this, you're a that. And other people, I mean, one of the most triggering things is for somebody to be called a racist who doesn't feel that they're a racist.
That they are.
And maybe they are, but maybe they aren't.
Yeah.
And they're like, maybe you should hear what I feel on the subject because you think that I think this, but I don't.
It's about proper communication and learning how to communicate with one another.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you say triggering things like that, it sparks a reaction. And that's what people are reacting to.
Of course. And we're putting everybody in a box, right? When we say, you know, the far right, when we say conservatives, when we say Republicans, when we say Christians, right? Out of all of those, the ones I'm more fearful of are the Christians, you know, and it's not, and they're not interchangeable, right? There's plenty of Republicans who are Republicans who believe in you know, but respect us and respect our way of life and have no issues with us at all.
And there are plenty of conservative Christians that really don't feel like pushing any issue. They realize that's my religion and you guys do what you want to do. Don't come to my church and protest about gay rights and we won't
go to your pride.
You know?
Well, there is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.